Hello, everyone. It's so good to see you. My name is Roxanne. I am the live coach here at Brand Cities Creators, and I am so excited about this. This is something that, as far as I know, we've never done before, and that's getting a group of creators together, talk about one of the hottest topics that's going on TikTok, especially TikTok Live. I figured if I was going to really get into the nitty gritty of retainers and what to do, like you're excited, you get a retainer client, and you're now what? Now what? Now what do I do with it? How do you make that successful? But the best way to really have that conversation is to bring some of the top creators and brand space creators who are in the trenches and are doing it as well too. So we can have just a discussion. I hope from this you learn a little bit more about what to expect with a retainer client, how to navigate it, and that you take at least one thing from this and you soar like nobody's business. So let me, without further ado, introduce these fantastic people that I have around me. We've got Melissa, we've got Janelle, we've got Mike and Garen. Tell us your handle. And then also, when you think about retainer clients, what's one word to describe it?
Hey y'all, I'm Janelle Ventura. My TikTok handle is Your Shopping Bestie. One word that comes to mind when I think of retainer clients is opportunity. It's really exciting to know that you're collabing with the brand and you're working directly with them for some exciting things like giveaways and flash sales and stuff. So the opportunity that's presented to you and what you can do with it is really exciting. So
Hey, it's Mike Leskajan. Go by the Miggity's Review. And honestly, security. With TikTok, everything else, things go up, things go down. So having the retainer is security for me.
Hey everyone, my name is Garen Flowers. That's my handle, Garin Flowers. And I would say, similar to Mike, I would say consistent because you never know how your sales are going to show up on any given day. With a retainer deal, you have that specific rate for each live stream.
I'm Melissa, handle melissa.jegc on TikTok.
I love what you all said about your feelings about when you got a retainer client, the security, the opportunity, the consistency. Now that you've done that, how true have those things been with your experience with retainer clients?
like what they said, I actually like their answer with security as well, because I think with videos, you are seeing what sticks, seeing if you'll get commission from a video that you maybe posted a few weeks ago or just yesterday. But having that security of knowing this is the amount of hours that I'm going in tomorrow with, and then having a dollar amount equal to that, plus the commission that you can earn on top of that for that extra opportunity is just really exciting. So I think that's how I think about it with retainer clients.
Yeah, and if I could tag on another word to security, I'm also going to put on anxiety because it's great, but I won't jump the gun yet. But there does add some anxiety knowing that you have to throw this product in there.
Now we're getting real. Thank you. Anxiety of the requirement. I think that's really interesting because it is really exciting to get a retainer client. Sometimes it kind of feels like work, honestly. Is that fair to say?
Like an hourly pay job that you're like clocking into for sure.
So how do you work against the feeling that now it becomes work?
I think you really have to make sure you choose a product that you enjoy. So on the back end now, I'm working with products that I like, and then I'm approaching brands with a retainer, or they're approaching me with the retainer since I've been going live with the product, as opposed to I don't know anything about this product. This brand wants me to go live with it because you don't know how your experience is going to be until you test it out.
Okay, that's interesting because I feel like even when I first started, just to get a retainer client, like, I'll do it. Yay. And you don't even think about, do I like this product?
Definitely. I think sometimes, yeah, like you said, you jump the gun and you get really excited for that security and that pay. But then when you're actually in the trenches, the first couple times, especially when the algorithm's getting used to maybe a new category that you're thrown into now with this new product, and you're waiting for people to come into the live and you're talking to the screen with zero people in the room for 30 minutes, just kind of going, that's when it starts to get a little bit trying. But at the same time, you can make it fun having music in the background. I've been walking on my walking pad just to keep that time going. So you can add some stuff to like spice it up in case it gets a little dreadful.
You just spark questions. What do you think collectively? Should you do a retainer client if it's something that's not your category?
I wouldn't recommend it unless you're willing to go for the long haul because it takes a lot of work. There's a lot of consistency and time for the algorithm to pick up on that new category. And it's a lot of hard work in the beginning with very little to no return. Like just said, you're going to have those zeros in the room where one or two pop in, where you're kind of throwing stuff at the wall to see if it sticks for a while before some traction starts to gain, in my opinion.
I saw two no's and a yes. So, Garen, go ahead. I see you're like, wait a moment.
I'm terrible sticking to a category. I believe that my men's hair clippers is self-care, which has been my biggest hero product, but I also have been selling the Apollo Sign TV tablet, which is technology. I've recently also started selling this couch behind me, which is the home category. And I've gotten a bunch of views in my live streams for all three products. So The clippers sell the most consistently, but I have gotten sales with the TV and working on sales with the couch. I just don't want to be put in that box. The good thing is I have seen big numbers in my live streams because I think once you become a successful live streamer, the algorithm just likes you. I think it's more so you and the product as opposed to you and the category.
Mike, you said no though. You're like, no.
Yeah, I said no because I agree. I like to do a lot of different things. But just last week, Friday, I pulled my supplement and I realized after doing hours and hours of live, great supplement, love the supplement. I literally booted up a live. 30 seconds later, I started talking. I'm like, I can tell I don't enjoy this. They're gonna tell. It's gonna, they're gonna see this. They're gonna hear this. I literally shut it down. 60 seconds later, I rebooted, went outside, did some tools, and made sales. And I felt good doing it. So I actually need to email that company and say, hey, all the hours I put in for you guys, you can have them for free. I'll still plug you guys with videos, but I can't do the live. I can't. When I stick to tool, my dude stuff, I actually am passionate about it. The supplements, that kind of stuff. You better know the category.
So I am hearing that category, maybe stay within it or out, but find something that you love doing. Don't just be excited because you got asked out on a date. Make sure you actually want to go on the date with the person. That's huge because I think that that's the mistake that most of us make. And if people can avoid that, that's so much better. I would say even don't even apply for retainers if you don't like the category or the product.
When you're doing TikTok shop, you see that time is money. If there's a product where you're going to be making more money than the retainer with the retainer fee and the commissions you get, you're just going to want to do that product where you're making all your sales. So you have to be very careful with retainers because you're literally wasting time. You can see by the minute how well your sales are doing.
I also think it depends what the product is and how long you can talk about it. Because even if you like a product, if I love this olive oil, but I can only say 5 things about it and why I love it, but I can't demonstrate it or I can't have it in use. And it's just really hard to sell consistently and talk about for an hour. I think that matters versus a product that you can show in use. I really like doing hair tools because I have to straighten my hair. So I'm doing it at the same time that I'm fulfilling my hours, getting that commission. So something that I can continue to talk about over and over again. And if you have different products within that line, it makes it even easier because then you can bounce around from one product to the other to really help fill in the gaps of that hour, 2 hour obligation that you have.
That's huge. I'd say don't do a retainer with just one product. If they're like, we have one product, you're like, okay, get some more before you even go into it. I think as live creators, I think I could talk about that for a few hours. We all do that. However, it's talking about the same thing required to every day. That's a totally different vibe. Would y'all agree? If it's selling, you don't mind talking about it for hours every day. And what are the odds that your retainer product is going to pop off and sell that first? How long do you think it takes for a new product?
I think it depends on how viral that item is you're selling to. I think that has a lot to do with it because if you got a retainer from a brand that is a little newer to TikTok and doesn't have a lot of virality, it's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle from my experience.
Can y'all define uphill battle? Like, how long are we talking here?
For example, my last retainer, it took me about a week. I went live 2 hours a day, so about 12 hours before I got my first sale.
Rox, I agree with them that it depends on the product. But as I mentioned earlier, I also think it depends on the live streamer. Someone like yourself with a certain product, TikTok is already going to send you more people because you've been so successful. And I'm getting to a point now where when I do a new product, I automatically have 80 to 100 people in the room right away. So TikTok can assess this is a good live streamer. Can he sell this product now? Whenever I have a new product, usually I'm seeing a bunch of people flood into the room. If it's a product that is being pushed by TikTok, there's some product I could do, I'm sure wouldn't have that many people, but any product that I'm really excited about that I'm trying for the first time, I usually get hundreds of people because they know that I've been successful with one of the products. So I think it depends on the product and on the live streamer as well, if you're starting to get success.
Interesting. With that question for you, when you have gotten your retainers, y'all, did any of you research the brand to see how it was doing on TikTok before you took the retainer?
I did, yeah. That's actually why I took the one. Oh, I almost took Janelle's, and I was like, this is kind of new. I think the product looks good. Actually, I'm taking it now. But the one I went with already had like 130, 140,000 sales. So I was like, cha-ching, easy money. No, not the case. Darren's right. I think it probably was me. It was probably my not being able to be enthusiastic about the product that came through because I actually had more sales the first day. Stayed on for 2 hours, and then I was like, this is awesome. I made it. And then the rest of the other 10 hours or so was just brutal, just got worse and worse. It could have been just, I'm not authentic with that product.
I think that has a lot to do with it. It doesn't matter how good a creator you are. If you're not authentic about it, people are going to come and window shop and they're just going to get out of there. I do think that categories make a difference though. You're like, I do my tools and stuff. up. And then you're like, and here is a supplement. That is a sharp left turn that I know the algorithm does need time to work that out. Because even if they're sending people to your room, that doesn't mean they're sending the right people to your room.
Mhm.
And the right people makes a huge difference as well, too. So you all said you did research. You did look and see how many sales. No, Garen's like, you did not.
No, no, no. They're the brand that I started working with. I did not research them. I think that I was excited about the deal and the product seemed exciting to me. So I was like, no matter what, I'm just going to work on it. And I've gotten okay sales, not like the amount of sales you want, but it also hasn't been a waste of time either. But no, I didn't research them and I probably should have. This is a learning curve. Now I think the best thing is for me is taking a retainer after I've already been working with the product and seeing if the brand would be interested in working with me after I've been going live already.
I feel like I haven't researched all of them. One that I'm about to start doing, I don't know if the brand itself has the numbers to back it up, but the product itself is a very interesting product. It's magnetic eyelashes. So I feel like by someone being able to see the application of it, how it looks, they don't care what the brand is or how many it's sold before. If they like how the lashes look and how easy it is to install, I feel like it could be an easier sell. So I think that's how I'm looking at it right now. So we'll see.
And I think, Janelle, that's good because sometimes a product is not going to have the history. Going back to dating, like you do need to do a background check on them. But if they've never dated, how are you going to know what they've done or haven't done? So I love that. You're saying you also choose based on, is the product going to be fun to go live with, is what I heard you to say.
Yeah.
Is this the first time you've thought about that when you're choosing?
I guess so. Before with Homika, the vacuum, I think I always saw lives with that. And it was always really interesting to see people doing the rice and sucking it up. But then at the same time, I'm not going to waste a bunch of rice doing this over and over again for an hour and a half. But I was like, you know what? I can multitask. I can clean my place at the same time that I'm going live. So I always think how I can stretch it out. And that's how it started with lives in general. I was like, I need to go live. What should I do? And I had to blow dry my hair that day. So I was like, I'm just going to throw up my phone, blow dry my hair with Wavy Talk and see what happens. And I got a sale within the first couple minutes. And I was like, if anyone ever asks what kind of advice I have for going live, I always say just use a product that you're going to need to use anyways and just throw on the camera and go live with it. Because if you're going to blow dry your hair, you might as well throw on the live, pin the product and see if you can get some sales with it.
Melissa, you do that too. You incorporate your lives into your life.
Yeah, I do. I'm really passionate about health and wellness. I'm kind of similar to Janelle, where I leverage the things that I'm gonna do anyway. I do my morning workouts from home anyway, so I might as well work out live from home and use the products that I get from TikTok Shop to show it to folks. I'm already passionate about it, so it doesn't feel like it's work. I have fun. I interact with the audience. I make jokes. And a lot of times I'll even get some repeat folks coming back in, and I've even made some friends. I even have a moderator now. So you can build that relationship with your audience and leverage that. And when you have that relationship, it actually kind of carries over into potentially other things you're selling, like what Garen mentioned, where you can potentially like, okay, you've built that relationship and that trust with the algorithm, then you're more likely to get sales in other categories. It's a little bit of a mix. Like I mentioned before, I feel like I've kind of pigeonholed myself in health and wellness, and I'm trying to get myself venture out. So I just want to test the limits.
Y'all, happens to so many people. You ever see that person where they were going live like with the vibration plate 9 months, 10 months later, they're still going live with the vibration plate? And
Yeah.
how many sales are they making by doing the same dang vibration plate for 9 or 10 months?
Oh my God.
Tons. The answer is tons. So many. Now listen, I understand that I move around. So I'm not saying, but I'm saying how exciting the person who's like, I'm going to stay the course and really, really ride this product until the ride is done and the product is gone. I think sometimes we think challenging ourselves is getting a new retainer or trying a new product. And maybe sometimes challenge yourself is what happens if I really hone in on this product and I become the person? Because here's something interesting. The algorithm truly does this on TikTok. If you go live with the weighted vest and you're the top creator of the weighted vests, it will automatically give everyone who's looking for a weighted vest or in that category to your live. First of all, taking time and energy and our cachet away from the fact that we're doing the tools. But of course, when Mike goes on with that supplement, he's not the hottest guy in the supplement land. He just got started. So any other supplement, like your Goalie and like your Yala and like Nello, all of those people who've been doing it every day, all day, they're going to send all the supplement people to them first. And Mike will be an afterthought.
Well, and that makes sense too, because literally after having really a lot of success early on in TikTok, like last year, and then losing my account, it took 6 months of just trying this, trying that. And it wasn't until we actually did a live call with you, well, and Alyssa, talking about like pick your top 4 products. And I picked those top 4. Luckily, one of them was a welder. And then I started going live with it. And then once I started just doing posts on those 4 products and going live with those products, that's when I started going back up again, had some viral videos and live started popping off. And then here we are later on. And I just did 4 different videos with 4 different products today. So probably time to hone it back in again. Squirrel.
We get bored. It's normal. We get bored, right? We're like, I wonder if I can do this. And yes, you can, but I wonder if you could stay with the same thing. And if it's not boring to you, truly, if it's your passion, what would it look like if you stayed with the same thing and you have that hero product over and over again?
I agree with that. And it's funny because if it wasn't for Rox's advice, I probably would have switched to something else. And then she said, just keep going with that weighted vest. And one day I just decided to just switch things up and go out for a walk. And I got my highest sale that day. I think I sold 15 weighted vests in almost an hour and a half. So I guess the point I'm trying to make too is on top of staying consistent, sometimes it's good to switch the environment.
Hey, that's interesting. So with retainers, how do you know a retainer is just not going to work? Have you ever had a breakup with a retainer client? And how did you know when to hold them? Know when to fold them. You're too young to know that song, but that's real country.
Know when to walk away and know when to run.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I've had a few where my contract was over and I chose not to extend it, but I've never broken it in the middle of it. I think it just made sense. The product wasn't hot anymore. And I feel like it was just one of those things where you knew that you fulfilled your contract and it's now time to go to something else. I know you always say don't chase the hot new booty, but sometimes when it comes to choosing the next product and keeping it pushing, sometimes you really do have to drop the old hot booty that was there and go for something else again.
I think it's easier to make that choice with a retainer client than when you just have a product you're doing on your own. It's hard to know that, but you've got a lot of clarity when you're like, I'm giving you 3 hours and nothing's selling. But, I think it's the same thing. You had that natural break and decided not to continue it. What about the rest of you? How do you know when it's time to break up?
I would say if it's absolutely not working, if you cannot get any sales and you're having a horrible time, then move on. Because a lot of these retainers are 20 hours, 30 hours, 40 hours. That doesn't sound like a lot. But when you're in it and you're live and you're talking to a room of 4 people and nothing's happening, 20 hours is a long time. And so it's really up to you. This is not a 9 to 5 job. You do not have a boss. So you can have conversations with your retainer clients. But also, I love communities like BMC where you can talk to coaches. You can ask your fellow creators to pop in and help you and converse with you. Having that community is a big part of being sane and having that help. So I think really if there's just nothing you can do, you've tried your content creator community, you've talked to your coaches, you've talked to the brand, then you can make that decision. But try to stick it out, try to have that natural break like Janelle had, then you can move on from there.
You said something about the brand, and I think we need to talk about this because sometimes it's not the creator that has a false expectation or like an elevated expectation of how quickly you're going to grow, but sometimes it's the brand who's like, I've got a creator who's going live. Now I'm going to make millions. How do you level set the brand's idea of what this actually is?
Yeah, I actually had that exact experience happen to me with my retainer client because they've never been on TikTok. So they had that expectation of like, oh, we're just going to make sales. Now, it wasn't explicitly said at the beginning when I signed the contract, but as I started going live, immediately that was the feedback. Like, oh, we're not getting any sales. What's going on? We need to switch when you go live. And I had to have that conversation with them like, hey, you're a brand new product. And we have to let the algorithm get very familiar with you first. And we have to get folks familiar with you, show that we can build trust in the audience before they can start purchasing. All in all, it's important to set that expectation up front with the brand realistically so that things don't get lost in translation, in my opinion.
Do you think that when you're doing that, are you telling the brand that, hey, it's going to take a month and then everything's going to be merry? How long? Because I think that people need to know.
I didn't really give them an actual timeline as far as hours per se, but I did let them know it does take some time. Specifically, the brand was like, well, how come other products, other brands are getting 600 people in a room? And then they gave me an example of one brand that had like 1,000 people in a room. I was like, well, those are considered brand rooms. That's a whole nother category. And they have a whole production company to get that moving. I kind of had to bring them back down to earth a little bit I did do the best I could. I followed the process of going live consistently. But all in all, it's just important, in my opinion, to be on the same page when it comes to that.
So important. I'd say be conservative. Say it's going to take 6 months of the year. I mean, if you think about it, even if there's 2 or 3 creators that have the retainer that are going live with this product, that's in the world of TikTok, that is a blip and you need to make a bigger splash. Once you get that retainer client, make sure they understand it's not overnight. Even though the contract might be a month long, you need to say, this is going to be something that we're going to have to reevaluate every 30 days. But honestly, it's going to take a good, I would say 6 months, especially if it's something brand new of commitment and reevaluation. You are the expert. They're excited, like, yes, we get a creator, but you are the expert to say, okay, this is working, this is not working, we need to change this lever. Now, I have a question. You've all had at least one retainer client. You've gone through the trenches. You understand what live is actually. And I want emotions and, oh, but I like them and I like your product. I want that out the door. What is the minimum that you would feel good about and ask for per hour? And I almost want y'all to have a piece of paper because some of you listen to someone else and you're going to change your number. I need y'all to write that number down. We're going to write that number down. I want you all to put it up on the screen at the same time because I know some of you are going to hear it and you switch your number. I don't want any of that nonsense. I want to know the minimum.
Can we write our number per category? Like supplements is
I'm gonna have to do that.
$2,000 an hour. Does everyone have their number down? All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. I see 80. Garen says 80. Janelle has
That's-
20. Mike
Yeah,
has
50.
50.
I put
Melissa, what does yours
50.
say?
50. It's in the chat.
Wow, I'm lowballing myself over
You know
here.
what?
You are absolutely
Yeah.
lowballing yourself.
Wow.
I
Okay,
feel
bet.
I'm really upset right now. I'm like, I got a lot of work to do. $20, Janelle, no judgment, but 20?
Wait, that's crazy. I'm mind blown right now. I feel like that I've been talking to are just throwing out 15 to start. So I was thinking, yay, $5 more than where we started the negotiation.
I think the lowest amount anyone should take is 20. If that was the question, if you were a brand new creator and just getting off the ground on TikTok Shop, 20. But yeah, for me, it's 80. And that's like maybe I'd do 80.
Well, say less. After this month, I am going up on price.
and Janelle, oh, don't feel bad. $20 an hour. That was the one I took too. $20 plus commission. I was like, this is guaranteed money, and you just get your toes wet, right?
Yeah.
But after hearing people talking 100, 150 an hour, I was like, I would like that, but I'm still down. Like, especially I got 2 bully companies, and I'm trying to kind of battle them against each other. I was like, I'll do $50 an hour plus. So I know I can make commissions on those. But it's something else. Definitely gonna be higher from there.
That's true. I guess it all depends on how much commission you could think. If it's a newer product, then the hourly rate
Oh.
should definitely be up.
No,
Okay.
it doesn't.
Okay.
Ooh.
Oh, throw commission out the window because something could happen. The price could go up. The shipping goes up. You have to ask yourself, if I make nothing, if I'm selling nothing and I'm
yes.
going there, I'm spending my time, what makes it worth it to me? And Janelle, $20. You are an amazing live streamer. What are we doing here?
Okay, guys. I promise I'm going up once these contracts are over.
Yeah, I think everybody here should be no less than 80.
Honestly, I think all of you are too low. That is my opinion.
What's your opinion? What do you think?
Let me just put it that way. I will teach you how much time it takes to the effort you're taking beforehand, prepping. Then you are the host. You are the producer. You are the director. You're doing all of those things during the show. And Garen, you come from TV. You know how many people were doing the things behind, and you're doing all of that.
That is
okay?
very true.
Then you're also taking time out of your life. It's not making 10 videos that you can just do really quick or use AI. You're doing it. After you're done, you have to decompress in whatever way. Then you have to prep and figure out how to do better the next time. Why are we devaluing ourselves? I'm confused. I mean, in the nicest way, but what are we doing here?
Are you basing this off of GMV? Like if someone
No,
was
I'm done with
competing
that.
in- Okay.
I'll tell you why, because GMV fluctuates so much.
Yeah.
And GMV is not reflective of if you're a good live streamer.
100%.
Let's say you have a bunch of brand new products you're retainer for. Your GMV might be in the hole, but that doesn't mean you're not doing a good job and you're not good at what you do. And so I would encourage you each to raise your price. I mean, you need to raise yours by 5 times as much, girls, and I can't even with you. At some point, you need to say, listen, what does $100 an hour feel like? Would you do it? Does that feel good to you? Why is that a bad thing to get paid $100 an hour? If you didn't make any commission and you were going to be working that much, I know this is unpopular opinion from Roxanne, but I would never take $100 an hour. But I want to at least get y'all to the 3 digits and then let's go a little bit higher. Okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I had a brand recently, and you know which brand I'm talking about, Rox, turned me down for $100 an hour. But, you know, that's their bad just because I'm going to stop eventually live streaming for them and I make them over 20K a month. The fact that they turned it down, I was like, well, I'll just have to, you know, eventually move on.
It's legitimately okay for them to say no, y'all. It's legitimately okay to say, this is my rate, this is my worth, and you can negotiate, but you got to start at a higher number. It's your time, and you're only counting the time that you're actually doing the live stream. You're not counting most of what you're doing in all the others. And you're not counting the fact that you might have to deal with trolls, you might have to deal with things crashing. You got to allocate for all of that. Also, they're getting your reputation, they're getting you.
Very
How much
true.
is your reputation? How much is your brand worth? If you never get hired per retainer, who cares? You'll go off and you'll sell whatever you want and sell it in your own rate, and you'll be good to go. So I didn't expect those numbers.
This was eye-opening.
I love that we did that way though, because I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. If I saw their numbers, I would have never said.
We all take 20 at some point. I've taken 20 before and I hated it. And you do resent it if you're not making what you're worth. You will resent it. You will go into it with a better energy and be more inspired if you're going and you're actually doing it. I quote $300 an hour just to answer your question. That's my quote right now, what I'll take. I will negotiate, but 300 is where we're going to start the conversation.
Great to know. Which rightfully so, though.
Yeah,
You've earned that.
Ross
So
definitely
Yeah,
are.
you know what? You've earned more than $20.
Yeah, my $20 hour contract, that's the reason why I didn't mind breaking. I'm like, you don't have to prorate me. You do not have to give me no money. I don't care if I put 10 hours, $200. It's not worth me doing another 10 hours for you. I'm sorry. It's not, yeah.
I like that. Yeah, that's true. You're like, listen, you can keep the money. It's fine. Keep it. Now that we had this great conversation, y'all have been amazing. Thank you so much. If you had one piece of advice to give to someone who's getting into the retainer space for live streaming, what would that one piece of information be?
Please, 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 for the love of God, do not take that retainer until you go live with the product first and see how it performs with your algorithm, see how you feel about it. Ask the brand, hey, can I test it out first and see how it is? I'll do a free 1 hour test for you. And it's really for yourself, and then see how it goes.
I would say pick a product that you are going to be using anyways. Like I said, I started with, because I had to blow dry my hair. So I got Wavy Talk and used it. And then it ended up being just me doing it for fun. And then it turned into a conversation with the brand that turned into a retainer. So that was really exciting. And then also make sure that you discuss upfront flash sales and giveaways, because working with the brand directly, you do have that leverage to provide more benefits to your audience as opposed to just going live without working with the brand directly. So make sure that they hook you up with those two things during your lives.
Say, evaluate yourself. Don't be cocky. I know I was. When I saw that 20 hours, I was like, I can do 40. Let's go. So look inside and know that, yeah, 20 hours doesn't seem like a lot, but when you got the wrong product, it is. So exactly, to test your product first, know what you're getting into before you sign that contract.
I would say just make sure you are on the same page with that retainer. Just have those expectations up front on what realistically is expected as far as sales. And specifically, if they're a retainer client that isn't that viral on TikTok, even if they are, just being realistic on being on the same page on what the expectations are as far as how long it will take. And don't give up, in my opinion.
Love it. Love it. And I guess I'll answer too. Mine be like, know your worth. What you're doing is harder than it looks. And so it's okay, even if you don't have the GNB to back it up, to know your worth and ask for that, because they just might say yes. You just never know. Thank you so much. I know your time is valuable because you go live. And so I did just take time from your live schedule for you to be here. And I appreciate you so much. And this has been something that so many creators are going to be inspired by. They're going to look at retainers differently and be more empowered with them so that they can see the success and get success for themselves as well as the brands. I appreciate you so much. And as I love to say, you're not ahead, you're not behind. You're exactly where you're supposed to be.